We will start again. So, epoxidation using hypohalous acids takes place from a more hindered side. Remember, okay? Normal MCP, normal MCPPA,
అంతే కదా
normal MCPPA will epoxidize from less hindered phase, whereas hypohalous acids will generate the epoxide in more hindered phase. We can have variety of reagents for uh, hypohalous acids epoxidation. If we use NBS for bromonium ion formation, then add water. Okay, it generates bromine generates bromonium ion, then water attacks to form halohydrin, this halogen and alcohol. Then with the neighboring group participation, we can generate epoxy. But in this case, we must add a base. So, for example, if the bromine is approaching the molecule from above the plane, then OH will approach the molecule from below that. Then when we add sodium hydride, what is the product? We can use variety of reagents, chlorine plus water. So chlorine gas plus water, so that generates hypochlorous acid plus HCl. Or we can use NBS and water, so that generates hypobromous acid. That generates hypobromous acid. We can also use sodium hypochlorite. Sodium hypochlorite. If it is calcium hypochlorite, that what we call is bleaching powder. Sodium hypochlorite is a solution, liquid. So calcium hypochlorite is a solid. So this is called hypochlorous acid, hypobromous acid. So we can explain the mechanism using these things, hypochlorous acid or hypobromous acid, or we can directly generate the halonium ion and then addition of water to the halonium ion. So both ways we can explain the mechanism. So I'm changing this. when we treat narcotin with hypobromous acid, then epoxidation occurs where it will occur, okay? Whether it is below the plane or whether it is above the plane. So in that case, what we call exo or endo epoxy. So here the important point is whether the epoxidation takes place above the plane or below the plane. Okay, right. So the first step is bromonium ion formation. When we talk about narcotin, above the plane it is sterically free. Below the plane we will have 1,5 diaxial interactions with the hydrogen. So bromonium ion forms above the plane. Then epoxidation occurs in the below the plane. So as I said earlier, epoxidation occurs at the sterically crowded place. Epoxidation occurs at the sterically crowded place. So you can write that epoxidation occurs at sterically crowded phase. Epoxidation occurs at sterically crowded phase. Epoxidation occurs at sterically crowded place. Crowded phase or place. Then when we have this exoalkene, then when we do epoxidation, we can do epoxidation in two different ways, normal MCPBA or what we are talking about, hypohalous acids. Then what is the product, whether it is above the plane epoxide or below the plane epoxide? If it is, since it is a six-membered ring, we can draw the chair conformation, and from the chair conformation we can explain whether which face is sterically crowded, which face is sterically free. When we have axial substituents, since there are two substituents, only the axial substituent will create sterical crowding. Equatorial substituents, they don't create sterical crowding. Okay, even if you don't know the whether this methyl is above the plane or not, but out of these two methyls, one will be above the plane, one will be below the plane. The above the plane methyl must be equatorial, it must be axial. When it is in axial position, it creates sterical crowding. So approach from the above the plane, it is difficult. So above the plane is sterically crowded. Approach from below the plane, it is possible. So MCPBA, since it is a direct epoxidizing agent, it will approach the alkene from below the plane. It will approach the molecule from below the plane. So we get an epoxide in the below the plane. We get an epoxide in the below the plane. Below the plane, or what we say, it is alpha phase, right? It is alpha phase. But when we do epoxidation with hypohalous acids, the first step is the formation of halonium ion. Here it is a bromonium ion. Since the above phase or approach of bromine from above the plane of the molecule is difficult, so bromonium ion forms in the below the plane. Then water attacks on bromonium ion from the above the plane. So that means here the epoxidation is exactly reverse to MCPBA reaction, right? Here the epoxidation occurs from above the plane. Epoxidation occurs from above the plane. Above the plane means beta phase. You can say phase or phase, anything is fine. So we can have epoxidation below the plane or above the plane, right? MCPBA will approach the molecule from less sterically crowded phase. So epoxidation occurs at less sterically crowded phase. Whereas hypohalous acids, first halonium ion occurs, halonium ion formation takes place in the less sterically crowded phase. Water will add to the halonium ion from more hindered phase. So epoxidation with the hypohalous acids will occur at more hindered phase. So that is the stereochemical differences between direct epoxidation and epoxidation with the hypohalous acids. Next, preparation of epoxides. Epoxides from ketones. So Darjan's reaction is generation of epoxides from alpha haloesters when it is treated with a ketone or aldehyde. But here we will directly generate epoxides from ketones by treating with some sulfur halides. Yes, I'll take this cyclohexanone when it is treated with the dimethyl sulfonium methylide, dimethyl sulfonium methylide. So the third methyl group, it will have negative charge. Sulfur will be in positive charge. So when we treat a ketone with minus 50 to 0 degrees, when we treat a ketone with the dimethyl sulfonium methylide, it will generate an epoxide where the epoxide carbon, one carbon in epoxide will be from this methylide, and that will be reduced as sulfur, dimethyl sulfide. The sulfonium methylide will be converted to dimethyl sulfide. One methyl carbon, one carbon will be added to ketone to generate the epoxide. I will also give the mechanism. Carbonyl being carbonyl oxygen is electronegative, partially electronegative. Carbonyl carbon is partially electropositive. So carbonyl carbon is electropositive. Then methylide will attack on carbonyl carbon. Methylide will attack on carbonyl carbon. So the double bond breaks to generate an oxide. O minus. Then we have sorry, CH2, yes. So this is what is called B-type, positive and negative charges uh, with oxygen, one of them with oxygen. This we can say B-type intermediate. So this oxide ion now will attack on carbon because sulfur is in positive charge, so it can act as a good leaving group. Sulfur is in positive charge, it can act as a good leaving group. So when oxide ion attacks on methylene carbon, then carbon sulfur bond breaks down and the bonding electrons will be polarized towards the sulfur. Since sulfur is positively charged, after taking the electrons, it becomes neutral. Right. This is how we can generate uh, epoxides from ketones. I'll give you the preparation of this dimethyl sulfonium methylate. Please put your video off. Some people are still using their video on. Please put your video off. Even you can suggest all your juniors school children, never put your video on in any online class. Okay, never. How do we prepare this dimethyl sulfonium methylate? DMS can be methylated using methyl iodide. DMS can be methylated, alkylation of DMS. Sulfur being nucleophilic in nature, it will attack on methyl, then iodide ion will be leaving. Right? This is how we will generally do methylation. We will add a methyl iodide to some nucleophile, so it will get methylation. Then what we have, if I don't write here, it becomes sulfur becomes positively charged because it is donating electrons. Then the counter ion will be iodide. This is trimethyl sulfonium iodide. Trimethyl sulfonium iodide. When trimethyl sulfonium iodide is treated with DMSO anion, DMSO anion, then what happens? The anion will pick up a proton from one of the methyl. Okay, sulfur is positively charged, so it is an electron withdrawing group now. It can stabilize a negative charge on alpha carbon. That means alpha carbon is now acidic in nature, and a proton can be easily abstracted by any base. So this DMSO anion will pick up the proton from methyl, one of the methyl, on sulfonium ion. So it generates this DMSO anion now becomes DMSO. Okay, right. This is called sulfur halide. Sulfur halide. This is generally called as sulfur halide, but its name is dimethyl sulfonium because positive charge sulfonium methylide. Dimethyl sulfonium methylide, dimethyl sulfonium methylide. So this is very reactive and it is unstable also. It is unstable, it is very reactive. Then how do we generate DMSO anion? Yes, DMSO anion can be easily generated by treating DMSO with a strong base like sodium hydroxide, sodium hydride. So sodium hydride H minus, it will pick up a proton from one of the methyl groups, methyl carbon. So it becomes an anion, DMSO anion. So DMSO anion can be easily generated by treating DMSO with sodium hydride. Right. I'll also tell you the preparation of one more reagent. If we start the same procedure with DMSO, take DMSO, then do methylation. Again, sulfur is an nucleophilic in nature, so it can be methylated. What we can get is plus I minus. This is called trimethyl sulfur oxosulfonium methylate. Sorry, trimethyl oxosulfonium. Trimethyl trimethyl oxosulfonium. So when it is treated with DMSO anion, when it is treated with DMSO anion, then since sulfur is positively charged, it is a withdrawing group now, so it can stabilize negative charge on alpha carbon. That means we can easily pick up a proton from alpha carbon. So this DMSO anion will take one proton from alpha carbon. So it generates minus. Again, it is an halide. It is called dimethyl. Since S double bond Y is there, oxo dimethyl oxo sulfonium methylide. Sulfonium methylide. This is dimethyl oxo sulfonium methylide. It is stable. It is stable compared to dimethyl sulfonium methylide. So dimethyl oxosulfonium methylide is stable compared to dimethyl sulfonium methylide. So we can use any of these two reagents for epoxidation from ketones. Okay, we can use any of these reagents. just give the product of this reaction. So we can use any of these reagents, dimethyl sulfonium methylide or dimethyl oxosulfonium methylide for epoxidation of ketones. We can use both the reagents. I'm changing this. When we look at the reactivity of dimethyl sulfonium methylate, dimethyl oxosulfonium methylate, as I said, dimethyl sulfonium methylate is less stable, so it is more reactive. Dimethyl oxosulfonium methylate is more stable, so it is less reactive. So the reactivity difference can be explained uh, when we treat them with an alpha beta unsaturated compound. When we treat them with an alpha beta unsaturated compound. Okay. When we treat this fellow with dimethyl oxonium sulfonide, sorry, dimethyl oxosulfonium methylide, and when we treat this with dimethyl sulfonium methylide, how they will react with this alpha beta unsaturated double bond. So these two reagents will not interact with a double bond, okay? But they will, yeah, I'll tell you one by one. Dimethyl sulfonium methylide, it is less stable, it is less stable, whereas dimethyl oxosulfonium methylide, it is more stable, right? Then if it is less stable, the reactivity is reverse. That means it is more reactive, it is less reactive. It is less reactive. In other words, we can say the reagent is hard in nature, its nature is hard, and its nature is soft. Okay. When it is hard nucleophile, it will undergo 1,2 addition when we have an alpha beta unsaturated compound. When we add a soft nucleophile, it will undergo 1,4 addition to alpha beta unsaturated carbon. So this undergoes 1,2 addition at the carbonyl carbon. So it generates an epoxide. It generates an epoxide. It generates an epoxide. So this methyl from sulfonium methyl. So it generates an epoxide. Whereas dimethyl oxosulfonium methylate now will undergo 1,4 addition. That means it will attack on fourth carbon. So it generates a three-membered ring, three-membered cyclopropane. So it will not interact with carbonyl. It will form a three-membered ring. Okay. So when we look at the reactivity difference, this can be explained using an alpha beta unsaturated double bond, unsaturated carbonyl. Okay. So the simple alkene, an isolated alkene, cannot be affected by either dimethyl sulfonium methylate or dimethyl oxo sulfonium methylate. Okay. Right. Dimethyl, yeah, you can take it. Okay. So dimethyl sulfonium methylate is less stable, so it is more reactive. That means it is hard in nature. So a hard nucleophile will undergo 1,2 addition when we add this to a alpha beta unsaturated carbonyl, whereas dimethyl oxosulfonium methylate, it is more stable, so it is less reactive, or we can say in other words it is soft nucleophile. As we know, soft nucleophiles will undergo 1,4 addition when added to an alpha beta unsaturated double bond. So that is why this fellow will generate epoxide, whereas this fellow will generate a three-membered cyclopropane. I'll give you another examples. Oxidation can also be done using ketones with different reagents. When we treat an epoxide with iodochloromethane in presence of a base, then the ketone will undergo epoxide. A carbon will be from iodochloromethane. Okay. I'll give the mechanism also. When we add an alkyl lithium reagent, N-butyl lithium, this is minus plus, to haloalkanes or haloalkenes, what happens? The alkyl anion nucleophile will immediately attack on halogen. So this is what is called metal halogen exchange reaction. What do we say it? This is a metal halogen exchange reaction because it easily reacts with iodine. So first it reacts with iodine. So CH2Cl, then because the polarization will be like this, CH2 minus lithium plus. So this is what is called metal halogen exchange reaction. So when we treat a haloalkane or haloalkene with alkyl lithium reagents, alkyl anion will attack on halogen. So anion on carbon will generate, counter ion will be metal. So this is what is called metal halogen exchange reaction. Then it generates N-butyl iodide. N-butyl iodide. Right. This nucleophile now will add to ketone. This nucleophile will now add to ketone minus, of course, lithium plus. Now this anion will add to electrophilic carbonyl. So this carbon oxygen double bond will break and will be polarized towards oxygen. So what we get is an oxide ion. What we get is an oxide ion, and then so it is like previous examples. Now it will undergo neighboring group participation. So oxide ion will attack on carbon because chlorine is a good leaving group. So it will be leaving as chloride ion. Okay. So this lithium chloride, and we can have epoxy. So this is how we can generate epoxide from ketone. So when we treat a dihaloalkane with the alkyl lithium reagents, the a metal halogen exchange reaction takes place and that generates a nucleophile. This nucleophile will add to carbonyl. So after oxide addition and chloride and halogen ion leaving, we can have an epoxide. Yeah, after this, again join for one more class. We will take 3 minutes gap and we will have one more class. Okay. So in that I will be discussing sharpless asymmetric epoxidation.